Oh, wait, they already did that.
Where's that at?
It's in Italy.
Out of bones?
Yes. It's totally...
Is this to Molech?
No, but it is...
Oh, wait, that's a Bohemian Grove.
That's a Bohemian Grove,
Sorry.
and it's a big owl.
Yeah, okay.
You got to get your satanic statues correct.
Yeah, I don't keep up with
Yeah,
Future
no,
quick
this
enough.
is... I was actually talking today on the phone with one of our... I had heard about this, but I hadn't talked to anybody who had seen it. I was actually talking on the phone today with one of our buddies here at Future Quake, Chris Pinto, and he brought it up. And I said, have you seen that? He said, yes.
The Church of Bones?
The Church of Bones. It's in Italy.
Does the building trustees, do they have to worry about osteoporosis or anything like that?
Yeah, they get some calcium deposits from time to time, and they got to
terrible.
take... You wouldn't imagine the amount of glucosamine they have to take.
Oh, and chondroitin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's...
Sort of a joint compound.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us.
I'm here for you.
Okay. Would you like another story here?
Hit me.
To amaze and inspire?
Yeah.
For those of you keeping score at home, this is story number 3 of tomorrow's Tremors. Christian talk host calls Farah book unbiblical.
Boy, we should get him on here.
This is talking about Joseph Farah, and this comes from World Daily. It's funny you should mention that, because as of this moment that we're recording this, we do have him scheduled to speak with us.
Interesting. Well, hopefully...
Within a week or so.
Hopefully nothing happens.
Sometimes things do happen.
Yeah.
We've had some guests that bug out. In
Yep.
fact, he had to cancel out on us at the last minute before.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It'll be a little brief talk. But anyway, it's about this book. Let me just share with you. And what is interesting is it brings in Janet Parshall, condemns advising voters to choose none of the above. Janet Parshall hosts a radio show for 3.5 hours before we come on the air.
Yes.
It's across the country. It's syndicated, but it also comes on this station.
Now, she's the person who believes that... I've heard her say that you have to vote. Voting for one of the two parties is good.
Well, now you're stealing the.
Oh, okay.
of the
Sorry.
story.
Okay, I'm going to take it all back.
Why don't you read the last page? Read the last page of Harry Potter or something while you're at it there and there.
And then.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, go ahead.
Here's a headline: Washington. A Christian radio talk show host has labeled Joseph Farah's new book, who's the head of World Daily, called None of the Above, as unbiblical because it advocates not voting for either of the two major party presidential candidates this November. Janet Parshall, host of Janet Parshall's America, syndicated by Salem Radio Network, told Christian TV show host John Ankerberg Sunday, "There's a book floating around now called None of the Above that advocates exactly the position you talked about. When we do that, we have advocated the antithetical position that what we know to be biblical truth. Because when we set it out," now she's presuming that the only other option is to not vote at all.
Yeah.
Unless she means set it out mean don't support our
Well, one of the things
Republicans.
I'm wondering about isn't the whole idea of the lesser of two evils sophistry? Because it's the evil that gets done, isn't it?
Sounds good to me.
No.
Okay, she says here, because when we set it out, what we're saying in essence is our vote doesn't count. We don't care to influence and occupy. So there we are, trying to occupy. That's a dominionism point.
Yes.
So she is suggesting the occupation of our... In other words, we should force ourselves over non-believers in earthly power, political power, which is the same as military.
We should disregard free will.
And basically, by force in the earthly kingdom, take over. So I will agree with her point that just not voting at all is not an answer. We're called as citizens.
You shouldn't vote for evil.
Democracy is required to vote. But the fact is we have choices. In fact, we just interviewed one of them. And I say it's just one of them, but the Constitution Party vice presidential candidate was on last week.
Yes.
And we have at least 3 additional national parties. We have Constitution Party, we have the Libertarian Party, Green Party. Those are the ones that are on enough ballots where they could theoretically elect a president, and then you have smaller local ones.
It's too bad we couldn't start a Future Quake party. We'd go get some balloons and a cake.
Yeah, but then we might have to sell out.
That's true.
To our special
We get on the
interest.
municipal government.
Yeah, the money's too good right now.
Dr. Future for assistant treasurer.
Yeah, vice president. President of all vice.
Yes.
Okay.
People with vice are in trouble.
Here we go. Let's let her elaborate here.
Yes.
The other person's vote takes precedence if you would not vote. The other person de facto gets the vote. Calling the Bible the plumb line of truth, Partial said, Scripture says that if you know what's right and don't do it, that's called sin. So that would mean that when she says vote for someone who calls evangelicals agents of intolerance, that would be doing what you know is right.
I wonder if she's heard the quote that George Bush said that everybody goes to heaven. I mean,
including Islamic, whatever you
Muslims
believe.
And there's many. Yeah. Essentially, just there's no. Yeah.
Well, McCain will have selected his running mate, and as of we won't know until in the morning, as the day we're recording this, so we don't know. But we will say, regardless of who he picks, he said he was completely fine picking a pro-choice running mate. That shows how strong his pro-life credentials are. But as long as you vote for that, that's according to her. Scripture says you know what's right. Thus, she says, believers, she added, are called to influence and occupy until Jesus returns. Thus, she concluded, it is critical that Christians vote this November for whichever of the two major presidential candidates seems most likely to advance their values. Where in the Bible does it say you have to vote for one of two major presidential?
You've got a verse there on here.
I'd like to ask her. I'd like to get her on there about that. I'll ask her if she could read the verse about the two major ones to see where that is. Mm-hmm. However, responds Farah, despite the fact that none of the above reaches a different conclusion that Christians, as a tactical matter, are more likely to advance their cause this November by taking a principled stand against both presidential candidates, his book is argued from a thoroughly Christian biblical perspective. Therefore, it's wrong, he argues, to cast him as some sort of religious heretic simply because of a difference in political strategy. Now, I need to clarify is that I think he still thinks that he can salvage the Republican Party, and if he is right, I believe, in that if you vote for a McCain, you're going to get a McCain or worse in the future. So if you do not vote for them now and you still hold hope for the Republican Party, maybe there's a vain chance you'll get something better if they show that you're not on a leash. However, I still think it is naive of him to think that the Republican Party is salvageable. Well, history would not tell us that it is.
We're certainly seeing a change in what I perceive to be his views over time.
Maybe, but it's a little late to the party. But we'll wait.
Well, he doesn't seem like he doesn't seem like a real partier to me.
We'll save that for another day. Here's his quote. Janet Partial is a fine Christian broadcaster, and I'm sure she thinks he's just arguing passionately for her beliefs regarding Christians' duty to vote, said Farah, which, he gives her credit that I don't see her giving him.
No,
although we've just taken
just
taken a portion of her quote. Yeah. So, however, she also happened to label my book, and by extension me, the author, as spreading an unbiblical and even sinful message. That's not right, especially since I'm quite sure, based on her televised comments, that she has not read the book and doesn't even really understand my thesis regarding this election. Farah, a national veteran national journalist for over 30 years of major media experience and the founder of WorldNetDaily.com, the Internet's premier independent news website. I think it'd be under Future Quake in my book, but
yeah, me too.
Maybe not numbers, but is a Christian, and he is a Christian and makes no attempt to hide his evangelical views in his popular daily columns. Mm-hmm. Rather than call his book unbiblical on Christian TV, says Farah, he would rather Partial had invited him to be a guest on her daily radio show so they could discuss their differences publicly. Nevertheless, he welcomes the opportunity to debate Partial on her show anytime.
Wow.
It's good.
It's interesting that he... at the time of this writing, she has an extended invitation to that interview.
Well, of course, I just got this late in the day. In fact,
okay.
I think there is the video.
I take back what I said.
There you go again.
Yep.
That's even worse than. There is a video on John Ankerberg that they refer to. Hopefully that's online. If so, just got this hot off the presses before we went to air here.
That's why it's smoking.
So yes, so maybe I'll get a chance to go watch it and see what really comes out, because in the past I've thought highly of John Ankerberg. So we'll just see what shakes out. But that's interesting. You don't see those kind of things publicly happen.
No.
But I think it's going to happen more.
Yeah,
as things get more intense, as people go after Bible-believing people more,
yep.
I think you're going to find what people are really made of.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be pretty scary. We're going to be shocked at some people.
Yes.
Yay and nay.
Yes.
Okay, you got another story for us?
I do have one.
We got 2.5 minutes.
Okay, I'll go quick. U.S. says banks on problem list rose 30% in quarter. The U.S. Federal Deposit Insurance Corp said its problem list of banks increased 30% in the second quarter due to the highest total in 5 years as more commercial real estate loans were overdue.
Okay.
Might have been a little fast.
Yeah.
The list had 117 banks as of June 30th, but up from 90 in the first quarter and the highest since mid-2003, the agency said today in its quarterly report without naming any institutions. FDIC-insured lenders reported net income is $4.96 billion, down 87%. Wow.
Yeah.
That just hit me. Down 87% from $36.8 billion in the same quarter a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. More banks will come on the list as credit problems worsen, FDIC Chairman Sheila Bair said at a news conference in Washington.
It's funny, Bear would be a financial person. Of course, Bear Stearns had that name too.
Yeah.
That's all a sign too.
I don't know if it's a sign, but it's weird.
Uh-huh.
Regulators had added to the list as bank assets, liquidity, and other fiscal measures weaken. Regulators are adding to the list as bank assets, liquidity, and other fiscal measures weaken. I said that correctly for a second time. 9 banks have failed this year, including California-based mortgage lender IndyMac Bank Corp. Incorporated, which the FDIC is running as a successor institution, IndyMac Federal Bank FSB. Yeah.
Okay.
Second lowest earnings. Second quarter earnings fell from $19.3 billion in the previous quarter, driven by higher provisions for loan losses, the FDIC said. It was the second lowest net income reported since the fourth quarter of 1991, behind the $600 million reported in the fourth quarter of 2007, the agency said. The results were pretty dismal, and we don't see a return to the high earning levels of previous years anytime soon.
Wow. So, the banks, the national agencies like Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, all falling apart.
Yes.
They're having to take money out of our treasury.
Down
because
87%.
And the stock market keeps going up.
Yes.
I think this happened in 1929, if what I read correctly.
Yeah.
Well, there was an irrational exuberance, to quote
Well,
Greenspan.
and one of the things, too, is a little organ called the PPT, which is the Plunge Protection Team.
Yeah, we'll have to have them on our show.
Yeah.
But we got to go.
Okay, let's go.
We need to get Merv on here to tell you how to get a hold of us. So, Merv, tell them how to get a hold of us.
Future Quake radio broadcasts are archived at www.futurequake.com, suitable for downloading or streaming, as well as other show information. Email Dr. Future and Tom Bionic at drfuture@futurequake.com. That's DRFUTURE at futurequake.com. Tell us your name, city, and radio station or internet, and if we can use your name on air. Comments on the show's topics or guests, or suggestions for future show topics or guests are most welcome. Dr. Future and Tom will discuss selected emails each week during the radio broadcast.
Okay, we've got 3 minutes, or 3 seconds.
Bye.
Hey, have a great week. We'll see you back next week. Until then, hope your future's very bright. Goodbye.
Sayonara.